Hello everyone, I'm Felicia from the National University of Singapore's HCI Lab. On behalf of my co-authors Ashwin, Chloe Haigh, and Dr. Zhao Shengdong, I'm thrilled to share about our research which investigates the use of heads-up displays in facilitating mindfulness practices for everyday users. Mindfulness is a multidimensional construct that has been conceptualized as the awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of experience moment by moment. We can make a distinction between mindfulness as a momentary state and mindfulness as a longer-term trait. While most mindfulness techniques aim firstly at improving the mindfulness state, regular practice usually results in building on the practitioner's long-term capacity and mindfulness as a way of being. However, adoption barriers exist. Common mindfulness tools, whether run through desktops, smartphones, or smartwatches, require users to dedicate a chunk of time away from their daily schedules, which many may find hard to carve out. Similarly, meditation is also best practiced in a quiet, conducive environment, and such a space may not always be readily accessible. Thus, we ask the question of how we may be able to more seamlessly fuse mindfulness practice with common daily tasks and introduce them into idle moments of the day, such as while someone is walking casually from one place to another. We found an opportunity with the emergence of Optical Head Mounted Displays, OHMDs, as our assisted reality wearable platform. Its heads-up display has a transparent screen that presents visuals to the wearer while their external environment remains in view. Recent research has also demonstrated the potential of OHMDs for supporting on-the-go tasks without compromising on our presence in the physical world. Mindful Moments approaches mindfulness delivery from a casual practice point of view, aiming to blend breath-based practice into everyday life during opportunistic moments in realistic settings. We believe that this not only removes barriers to consistent mindfulness practice, but emphasizes the importance of building mindful capacity in daily contexts rather than only in controlled meditation spaces. First, we conducted a series of exploratory pilots to narrow down on prominent visual and auditory design elements. The objective was to identify a design that can sufficiently engage the user in mindful breathing without affecting their walking ability. Combining user-preferred attributes from the pilot, we evaluated mindful moments against two comparison groups, a baseline and a conventional walking meditation. Finally, we assessed whether mindful moments supports mindfulness states. By evaluating its use in a realistic field setting, we focused on the use of mindful moments at the office and work-from-home settings, given that these places are where individuals spend a substantial amount of their daily time undertaking a range of activities. In pilots 1 and 2, we focused on visuals. We tested multiple visuals animated with the expand, contract animation, which served as breath guidance. Participants had to breathe along with the shape, inhaling as the shape expands and exhaling as the shape contracts. Pilot 1 compared between realistic and abstract representations of objects, and we found that abstract figures were preferred given their simplicity and clear visual guidance. Realistic forms, on the other hand, reinforced interpretive tendencies of the mind as there were more literal associations. Pilot 2 varied dimensionality and complexity of the chosen abstract figure, the geometric figure. Prior investigations have shown that the dimensionality and complexity of visuals have an impact on our emotions. Participants preferred the 2D version that is detailed as it struck the right levels between immersion and distraction during mindfulness practice. Once we narrowed down on a visual that was suitable for our objective, Pilot 3 and 4 explored audio elements that can complement the visuals. Pilot 3 compared between rhythmic and non-rhythmic audio, as well as natural sounds and man-made music. Participants found binaural music and ocean waves to be calming, but also provides a sense of movement. They also found that rhythmic music helps if synchronized with visuals. Finally, in Pilot 4, we tested the rhythmic function of sound. For each track, we created cue sounds, which are synchronized sounds that signal points of breathing. And sustained sounds, which are smooth and continuous sounds in the background. We also created the combination of both. Participants preferred the combination of both, as it provided a sense of smooth continuity while also signaling and reinforcing deep breathing patterns. Ultimately, we converged on a formative solution which we named Mindful Moments. We evaluated mindful moments against two comparison groups: a controlled walking condition, which is walking without any mindfulness-based guidance, and another walking mindfulness intervention, the walking meditation. We considered this to be the state of the art, and based our instructions on what was devised by John Kabat-Zinn, the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction therapy. Existing literature suggests that mindfulness techniques reduce mind wandering, lead to calmer physiological states, and attention task performance. With that, we included electrodermal activity, EDA, as a measure, to sustain attention to response task, SART, for which response accuracy and time variability were the performance markers we looked at. Finally, we measured self-reported state mindfulness via the Mindful Attention Awareness Scale. Exceeding our expectations, mindful moments either achieved comparable effects or outperformed the walking meditation. There was a 10.7 lower response time variability on the SART attention test, indicating improved mindfulness and less mind wandering. Based on the self-reported mindfulness scale, mindful moments and walking meditation resulted in significantly better mindfulness states than the control. Mindful moments and walking meditation performed comparably to each other. And overall, about 56% of participants indicated that they preferred their mindful moments to walking meditation session. It's worth noting here that given its casual use case, mindful moments can largely be considered a success since it is as effective, or if not more, than the walking meditation, which is usually practiced in a controlled environment. Furthermore, mindful moments provides the additional advantage of a lowered barrier of entry for beginners to enjoy the benefits of mindfulness practice. To understand how mindful moments can be practically applied and blended into everyday life, we conducted a study in realistic office and work-from-home settings. The study elicited insights relating to when users prefer using mindful moments, how it benefits them in different situations, as well as the challenges they encounter with mindful moments sessions. The office and work-from-home settings were chosen for two reasons. Firstly, while mindful moments is intended for a digital future wherein smart glasses are widely adopted by mass consumers, the current setup is such that participants do not wear them throughout the day. Hence, the apparatus was placed at a mindfulness station in the office or home, such that participants could conveniently access and run mindful moments at their own time and preference. Secondly, these settings are where users spend a substantial amount of time. The study was conducted over 3 days, such that users could access and experience mindful moments at different times of the day, either at home or in the office. For each working day, they were instructed to run 3 or more mindful moments sessions. They had the freedom to pick their own session timings, but were encouraged to spread out their timings such that they could experience it under a variety of situations. Immediately after each session, participants filled in a Google Forms survey on their own device. We also held a final interview upon completion of all 3 days. We found that mindful moments benefits the user after a short single session, as well as from continued practice over several days. This includes improved attention and self-reported mindfulness states, improved energy, relaxation, mood, and focus levels. Each channel, namely visual and auditory channels, came in useful at different stages. They found that the animated visuals were very useful at the start of every session, as it eased them into the practice and guided them to breathe according to the rhythm. Once their breathing pattern was established and regulated, they had less need to focus their attention on the visuals. Instead, they would naturally turn to the audio as a guide for maintaining their breathing pattern. This allowed them to focus their visual attention on the external environment as they walked. Mindful moments also appeared most beneficial in 2 situations: after mentally draining tasks and after prolonged periods in sedentary positions. Both situations are common experiences during a workday, which typically involves sitting in front of a computer for stretches of time. On the other hand, when participants had urgent or unfinished tasks ahead, mindful moments seemed to be interruptive in nature. Participants also alluded to mindful moments as a potential intervention for behavioral change. For instance, one participant found over multiple sessions that mindful moments replaced her previously automatic habit of social media scrolling in her free time. She expressed that the 5-minute activity supported her in breaking out of her nighttime routine of watching TikTok videos and in turn improving her sleep quality. Based on these insights, we provided recommendations for future breath-based mindfulness designs on OHMD. Mindful Moments offers an opportunity to integrate breath-based mindfulness practice into one's daily life, freeing them of space and time restrictions. Our study has found that Mindful Moments is easier for beginners to implement when compared to the traditional walking meditation, with comparable mindfulness benefits. We envision that future iterations provide a more seamless experience, where a context-sensitive system can automatically start the application at opportunistic moments for the user. A natural next step would also be to track long-term changes over regular usage. This ensures that mindfulness designs truly builds on the user's mindfulness capacity as a long-term trait. It is our hope that more people are able to maintain higher levels of mindfulness and well-being as they go about their daily lives. Thank you.